everyone. My name is Brittany Miniweather. I'm so excited to be here. Yay! and Megan, you're muted.
I knew I was going to do that, you guys. Hey, I'm Megan Hayes. This is my first time on Zoom ever.
Not true, not true.
You guys, this is Southbound, our first storytelling show.
Yes, this is Unified Tales from the ATL and beyond. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes, everybody can hear me now, so I'm happy.
Yes. Megan, do we want to share the results of our poll?
I know. Let's share so everyone did a poll on what everyone's been doing and starting during the pandemic. Let's take a look, Brittany. All right, let's see. Okay, so a lot of people got connected with friends and family on Zoom. I know I did. How about you, Brittany?
Yes, definitely. We used to have a family monthly call, and then one of my cousins stopped showing up. So I guess it kind of got canceled.
Do you not have it anymore?
No, it's been a couple of months. So, but before we were doing really good before it was every month.
I mean, in their defense, we have been in the pandemic for over a year now.
You
had a good 10-month run.
Yes, we did good. We did good up until Christmas.
I think that's solid. Yeah.
How about you?
Let's see. I actually started teaching a dance class, a Broadway dance class on Zoom. So it's helped me connect to people all over the country, friends, family, people I've never met before. It's actually been pretty amazing.
I love that. That sounds great. We had another question. What will be different for you post-pandemic? Okay, let's see which one.
Yeah.
Again, the Zoom. I learned to connect with people through the video call, Zoom, Teams, and that will continue to be a big part. I think it's changed the whole way in which we all live.
I agree.
My Zoom calls are scheduled during the day. So
I don't think I'm not seeing that survey. Can you bring that up, Amy? Is that coming up? Our results?
I think you scroll down.
The scroll down, please.
Oh, scroll down. Okay. It just went away again. So I'll look for it.
I'd like though that 43% plan to travel more. Let me out.
They want to go. They want to go. Get those vaccines.
Yes, fingers crossed. All the vaccines.
Yes, yes. Well, we're so excited to have you all here. This show, of course, is about Atlanta and Tales from the A. How long have you lived in Atlanta, Megan?
Well, Brittany, I'm actually a native Atlantan, which I don't think we even exist. I know. I'm a unicorn. I don't think that native Atlantans really exist much anymore. How about you?
You know what? I am from South Carolina, and so Atlanta is the big city to us, and I've been here 5 years. So,
nice. How you liking it?
I kind of love it, but again, from South Carolina, Atlanta's the big city. You have that far to jump, to have other things to do.
My mom's family is all from South Carolina. So.
Oh, for real? What part?
Anderson.
Oh, okay. Columbia.
Oh, okay, nice. Right.
Yeah, there you go. But went to
go to University of
Spartanburg.
Yes. Did you go to Wofford, right?
I went to Wofford. That's right. That's right. Yep. I did tell you that.
You're smarty pants. I love that.
Little bit.
Why don't we do a poll and see if we have any other Atlantans or non-Atlantans, how long everyone in the audience has been here. How about that?
I love that. I think that's a great idea.
Let's do it.
Come on in.
All right. If you and your lovely audience members.
Let's see.
Okay. This is like as it's happening, it's very exciting.
There's a gap in this survey. If you live between 15 and 20 years, there is no category for you.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I know. I just saw that. I'm like, oh, well, that leaves me out. Where do I go?
You just got to choose. You just got to choose the closest one.
Closer to 15, closer to 20.
Okay, 20 years. Okay. Oh.
Okay, 20 plus years, 63%. I love
That's really winning. So they're ready for the stories. They want to hear everything.
And there's a 12% native Atlantans. I see you, native Atlantans. I see you.
Yes. Complicated. I'm back.
I love that. So this is also our first storytelling show for our first Southbound, which we're going to be hosting monthly with the lovely Brittany.
We're very excited to be here. I'm actually brand new to storytelling. So Megan is kind of
Have you been to a storytelling show before, Britt?
I've never been to a storytelling show before.
What?
No, but I did win.
Wait, what?
You ready? When I was in high school, the equivalent of like the high school theater competition, I won first place in storytelling.
What? You did? No way. That is amazing. What story did you tell?
I told the children's book story called The Talking Eggs. Don't ask me the author. I should have done that research before tonight. But I still have my trophy. And I still love that book.
But it's a kid's book, right?
It's a kid's book, right? And I like told the story. I guess I like acted out. I'm gonna age myself. We're talking 15 years ago, but that I won first place, and that was my only storytelling experience.
That's amazing. You know what's interesting though is I think maybe a lot of people probably associate storytelling with just being kids' stories.
Right,
but,
right.
I've done different story, like I don't know if you guys do The Moth, or I've been on Risk, which is a storytelling podcast where you like tell stories you would like never dare tell anybody, and you kind of tell it in front of a live audience. And I used to host a story out in LA called Tales from Tinseltown, where we would air all the Hollywood dirty laundry. It was really fun.
So. I could imagine.
And it was it was not recorded, right? You had
we did not allow, no recording devices allowed at all, because that way people felt safe to talk smack about people.
Talk the stuff. Kind of like backstage in a show when you find out all the tea of all the other theaters around town. I can see that. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right.
We should do another poll, Megan.
What should we do?
Have about our audience. Have they been to a storytelling show?
I think that's a great idea, Brittany. Let's do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, come on in.
All right, audience.
Yeah, you mean my kids' bedtime stories? Yes, I do that.
Yes. I feel like that counts.
Okay, let's see. A what?
A what? Exactly, 10%. Well, welcome, 10%. That's a what? You're in one right now. Okay, this is great. So we've got about 40% who've seen one, and 48 that haven't. Well, welcome to anyone's first storytelling show. And if you have been to one, welcome to this one. I'm super excited. Great. So let's share the results. Sorry, I should have done that. Yes, perfect. A what? Oh, and then 1%. Was that your vote? Did you vote for that, Brittany?
That was me. No, I'm just kidding.
Perfect.
I did my research, Megan. I've been to storytelling shows now.
Yes. Exactly. Why don't we, we're doing this through the Horizon Theater, as all of you know. So why don't we introduce the lady about town, to bring her in for a little bit. Miss Lisa Adler.
Yay. Here I am. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. I have wanted to do, I got really interested in stories because stories are what theater are all about. And so I've been telling stories through theater for a long time and got interested in telling Atlanta stories. In fact, we did a benefit event called Atlanta Stories for about 10 years, where we took Atlanta celebrities, various kinds of celebrities, and took their stories and let them either tell their own stories or through a play, or have a playwright ghostwrite that for them. And I've been thinking about that a lot over the pandemic, and thinking about, and way before the pandemic, like 10 years ago, going, I would love to have a storytelling show, but other people had them. There's a thing called The Moth, if you know about The Moth. And so Megan and I were talking in January, and I said, Megan, I've always wanted to do one of the storytelling shows. She goes, girl, I did one in LA. They're great. They do them all over LA. There's a zillion of them. It doesn't matter if somebody else is doing, you just do your own. So we're doing our own storytelling show. And I always wanted to do something that was kind of a cross between storytelling and an urban prairie home companion. So that's the vibe we'll probably head towards in the show. So I think of storytelling in a very loose sense. So people are telling stories, songs, spoken word, might be other poetry, might be other things that come up over the course of us doing this. We're planning on doing it about once a month right now, and then go live when we have it live if it's we keep going, and maybe more than that if it's popular. And we have our artists tonight because that's who we're connected with, but we really hope that we'll have real people telling their stories. And Megan is expert at helping people learn to tell their stories. So there'll be a place at the end tonight to say, hey, I know someone with a great story, or I have a great story and I want to learn to tell that story on Southbound. So that's what we hope to have, as a mix of artists and regular people and Atlanta celebrities telling their stories, and hopefully there'll be some amazing ones. And we'll tell you about other storytelling shows that were out there. I just one called Story and Storytellers that's sponsored by USA Today. That was just amazing that I watched last week. So that's my spiel. Thank you for being here for our launch. And we're going to take it back to our hosts and let them go on with it.
Thanks, Lisa. We love
Thank
you.
Lisa. Thank you.
All right, we have one more poll and then we're going to go ahead and get started. So our last poll is for all you audience members: who is OTP or ITP? Or again, I don't live in Atlanta. What? Who is that?
What?
No,
probably
welcome.
my family. Probably my family members.
Yeah. Could be my friends in LA too.
Right. We're fancy. People come to see us.
So we're really fancy.
Yeah, in LA, that would be really far OTP.
Right.
Very OTP. Okay, so we have our results. So most everybody lives ITP. Okay. Are you ITP or are you OTP? Are you
OTP? Yes.
ITP. Woo!
No.
Oh,
I
sorry.
live in Fulton County.
ITP.
That's all right. All right. You're all right. We'll live with you, Brittany.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, I think it's time to bring on our first storyteller. What do you think, Britt?
I think it's time.
Okay, great. So without further ado, our first storyteller, her play, Shaking the Mess Out of Misery, has had several productions at the Horizon Theater. And she is an amazing lady, and she is currently working on travel itineraries to magical places that may or may not exist for post-COVID travel. So please, everyone, welcome to the virtual stage, Shay Youngblood. Woo!
Thank you, everyone. I did unmute myself, and let me know if you can't hear me. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to dive in. He was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Barack Obama for his activism and contributions to American culture. He was the first Black man to win an Academy Award for acting. He starred in 3 of the highest grossing films of 1967, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, In the Heat of the Night, and To Serve with Love, a film that always makes me cry. Sidney Poitier. Sidney Poitier is Hollywood royalty, no question, no doubt. One spring day in New York City, he made me feel like a princess. It started like this. My first play was based on my collection of short stories, The Big Mama Stories, written while I was at an artist residency in the south of France. I planned to write a book about Paris, but when I sat down to write, I found myself missing the sounds, the food, the language, and the people who were home to me. When I sat down to my desk, I closed my eyes and I was home again in South Georgia with all my big mamas around me telling their stories of survival and giving me life lessons. When I wrote what I thought was the last of the stories, I had the bright idea that I would write a play and bring my big mamas back to life on stage. For the next few weeks, I cut and pasted and put together what I thought was a play. Having never written one before, I went at it with beginner's mind. The original version of my play had over 20 characters and dozens of scenes. I was reminded by a theater professional that each actor had to be paid. That was the beginning of my study of the craft of playwriting. A few weeks later, I mailed a handwritten copy of my play to Carol Mitchell Leon. I'd met her the previous summer on the set of a film where I was an extra. I already knew and loved her theater work. My enclosed note asked her this: if you like my play, would you act in it? She responded yes and yes. I left France in the spring of 1987 with my play in hand. I went almost directly to Horizon Theater. Lisa Adler, one of the producers at Horizon, had seen me in a group reading. June Jordan had put it together. I read one of the early Big Mama stories. After the program, Lisa commented that I had a strong ear for dialogue and that if I ever wrote a play, she'd like to see it. The seed was planted. It grew inside of me during that cold, lonely winter in the one-room cabin in the south of France. Lisa Adler will tell you that I was very persistent. When I returned to Atlanta, I showed up at almost every production at Horizon for the next year. During intermission, I would gently ask if she'd read my play yet. Eventually, Horizon hired a dramaturg, Gail Austin, and the phenomenal Glenda Dickerson was hired to direct. The Big Mama Stories was transformed into the stage play, Shaking the Mess Out of Misery. It premiered with a powerful ensemble of incredibly talented Black women. It was cast with some of my favorite actors, including Carol Mitchell-Leon, Jenny Randall, Margot Moore, Elizabeth Omalami, Georgia Allen, and Marguerite Hanna in her first professional role as the main character daughter. Shaken toured theaters around the country for many years and was produced at least 3 times at Horizon. Fast forward a few years after its premiere, my play was being performed in Los Angeles on Hollywood Boulevard in a tiny little theater. One of the cast members, Michelle Shea, worked in television on one of my favorite sitcoms. Michelle and other cast members invited Sidney Poitier and a number of celebrities to see the show. I flew out to LA for the premiere. By that time, I'd seen several versions of the play. Every time, it was as if my big mamas had come back to life. I was a little girl again, and they were preparing me for a coming of age ritual. I was grateful to all the actors for their brilliant and moving performances over the years. After the premiere in LA, I flew to Paris for a research trip for my novel, Black Girl in Paris. A few days after I arrived, my agent called to tell me that Sidney Poitier was trying to reach me by phone to talk about my play. Hold up. Sidney Poitier, my play, Shaking the Mess Out of Misery. Sidney Poitier wants to talk to me about my play. I thought it was a joke. Yes, my agent confirmed he saw it 2 or 3 times in LA. Sidney Poitier, the film star, the handsome powerhouse actor, the barrier-breaking activist, Sidney Poitier, the pride of the Bahamas and Black America? He'll call you tomorrow at your hotel, she said. Then I squealed. I actually squealed. When I'd arrived in Paris, I stayed with friends for a few weeks. I just checked into a hotel in Pigalle to write. My minuscule room was on the top floor under the eaves. The walls were so thin, I could hear the by-the-hour customers making all kinds of merry all through the day and night. I was in my room sitting by the hotel phone when it rang. I let it ring twice to be sure I wasn't just willing it to ring. Only when I heard his distinctive voice did I realize it was no joke. I was talking on the phone to Sidney Poitier himself. I was almost speechless. He was brief. It was an international call after all. He said he'd seen my play a few times and that he wanted to option my book for a film. OMG. I was barely breathing by then. Mr. Poitier asked me if I could fly directly from Paris and meet him in New York by the end of the week. If you can believe it, I hesitated. I'm not sure what I said to him, but I've been doing a lot of shopping in Paris. I had a lot of bags. I couldn't see myself dragging all of that around New York. So we finally agreed that I would fly from Paris to Atlanta, unload my shopping bags, and then fly to New York. About a week later, I walked into the lobby of one of my favorite hotels, the Paramount Hotel near Times Square. I was sure being booked into the Paramount was another sign that my play was really going to be a movie. The next morning, I took a yellow cab to a tall building near Fifth Avenue, took the elevator up several floors, and checked in with the receptionist in a very elegant waiting room. I heard myself say, "I'm here to see Mr. Poitier." I was so nervous, I think my teeth were chattering. After a few minutes, I followed the young woman into a large sunny office with a wall of windows facing a church. I was introduced to Mr. Poitier, who stood up from behind an enormous desk. He reached out to shake my hand. I almost fainted. I crossed the room, sat down on a chair that seemed miles away from where he was sitting. I remember that he talked about my play and said nice things about it. He talked about wanting to direct it for Columbia Pictures. He mentioned the possibility of Miriam Makeba recording the soundtrack and perhaps casting Tina Turner and Patti LaBelle to play Big Mamas. My eyes got wider and my mouth might have fallen open at the mention of Tina Turner. His presence and charisma was electric. And there he was, sitting calmly behind that massive desk like it was any other Monday. I was sitting alone in a room with Sidney Poitier, and he was talking to me about my play. I was the dictionary definition of starstruck. He talked for nearly half an hour before he asked me if I had any questions for him. I had only one. Why do you want to option my play? He looked at me and seemed to take a deep, thoughtful breath before answering. I have daughters, and I think there's something in there for them, something they can learn. I want to make this film for my daughters, he said. His voice softened, and for the first time, he smiled that dazzling, heart-stopping smile. And that was good enough for me. I was still in a kind of daze when I said what a pleasure it was to meet him. When he stood up, I understood the meeting was over. It felt like a nanosecond had passed. We shook hands and left the room together. He said goodbye to the receptionist and stood next to me in front of the elevator. I was still floating when the elevator opened and we both got in. By now, I realized I'd been too nervous about our meeting to eat breakfast, and I was hungry. I turned to him and asked if he could recommend a place nearby where I could get lunch. He seemed to think about it for a moment. Then he said, yes, I know a place. And suddenly it seemed he was taking me to lunch. As we exited the building, we were standing in front of that beautiful old church. I thought God must have been listening to my prayers. The sun seemed to be shining on us like spotlights. I remember I wore a yellow dress and he wore a suit, but I don't remember a tie. His hand guided my elbow as we crossed the street. Now I was floating 2 feet off the ground. I was still nervous, so I started asking him about his favorite food and where he liked to travel, my favorite subjects. He asked me about my trip to Paris, but before I could answer, we both began to notice people following us, calling out his name. A man on a crosstown bus yelled out, "They call me Mr. Tibbs." A woman in a car shouted, "Sydney, I love you." As we headed west, a small crowd began to gather around us. He'd recently played the role of Thurgood Marshall in a television production. He was one of the most recognizable actors on the planet, and he was a gentleman. When people began to ask for his autograph, he was gracious but firm and hoped they would understand that he wouldn't be able to sign autographs. I don't remember exactly what he said, but the crowd understood that he'd be there all day if he started signing. It was a magical moment. People nodded and the sea of fans parted. I could still hear his name being whispered and watch people do double takes as we moved down the street. Within a few feet, we came to a restaurant with heavy polished brass doors, the Russian Tea Room, fancy and super famous. Images of caviar, champagne, and flaming desserts came to my mind. A handsome waiter in a white shirt seated us in the center of the room, lined with red booths along the wall. Just after we ordered, people began to come over and speak to him singly and in pairs. Everyone looked like somebody important or famous, but the only person I recognized was Phyllis George, a former Miss America. She smiled a lot. Mr. Poitier introduced me by name and kept each visit brief. After each interruption, he picked up where we left off in our conversation. He was really listening to me rattle on about my time in the Peace Corps in Dominica, my French shopping spree, and the novel I was writing about Paris. I felt important, safe, and special. He was Hollywood royalty, Black royalty, and he saw something unique in me and my work. This encounter gave me a boost of confidence I still draw on to this day. Soon after my meeting in New York, a man of his word, Mr. Poitier optioned Big Mama Stories, and I signed a contract to write the script. I traveled to Florida, where I stayed in a friend's beach house for 3 or 4 weeks with a box of food, a typewriter, a ream of paper, and a copy of Sid Field's How to Write a Screenplay. I approached this new form with the same beginner's mind I had when I wrote the play. When I failed to turn in a draft of the script on the day we had agreed on, Mr. Poitier called me on the phone. It was a brief conversation. He told me a kind of modern day fable. It was about a young man who arrived in Hollywood full of hopes and dreams of becoming a writer for the movies. The young man said that he needed inspiration to write his masterpiece. He was always late turning in projects or just wanted to talk about what he was doing. Mr. Poitier said, 10 years later, he's never finished a script. He works odd jobs and he's probably sitting around somewhere waiting for inspiration. In the silence that followed, I heard him loud and clear. I was determined not to be the kind of writer that waited for inspiration. I finished the next revision quickly, revised again, based on more feedback from him and the producer. I heard other writers were taken on to revise the script to make it more attractive to a wider audience. A girl character was turned into a boy. The setting was changed and other revisions that made me uncomfortable. It was transforming into a group-written commercial venture. In the end, the book was not re-optioned and that chapter closed. A few years later, when Horizon Theater mounted Shaken again, I had a full circle moment. The director was one of Sidney Poitier's daughters, Pamela Henderson, who lived in Atlanta at that time. She did a lovely job bringing out nuances I hadn't seen in other productions. I told her that I met her father, that he took me to lunch at the Russian Tea Room, where he made me feel like a princess. I told her that he'd wanted to turn the Big Mama stories into a film for his daughters. He also gave me a vision I still think of today when I have a deadline. A young writer full of hopes and dreams, wandering around Hollywood looking for inspiration. Forever after, when I sit down at my desk to write, inspiration finds me already there. Thank you.
Yes, that was fantastic, Shay.
Oh, what a great
Fantastic.
story.
What an
Yay,
amazing
Shay.
story.
That's greatness right there.
Woo!
That is so
I've never heard all that. That's so great.
Yeah, and thank you, Lisa. Here's my opportunity to thank you publicly again.
Ah,
Thank you. You
after
did.
all these years, right?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. You
I
there?
remember reading your script on onion skin paper that it was
Uh-huh.
typed on, and in the car on the way to somewhere, and going, "There's something here. There's something here."
I had to convince you that. I mean, I brought.
I know. I was busy, man. I'm still busy. You have to you are the classic example of great networking. Very gently. Have you read my script? Have you read my script?
noted.
Have you read my script again?
Wait,
Maybe you could read my script.
I got theater patrons. My friend Mary. What's her? I can't say her name.
I remember who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I can't remember her name
she's
right
a theater patron. I got her to
Yeah.
come with me once to a production, and I got her to ask you about the play.
Oh my God, that's great.
That's so
Yes,
smart.
Shay.
That's so smart.
You are one of several people I point to as master networkers.
That is fantastic. I love everything about that, Shay. Thank you so
That's
much.
so
What a
exciting.
great story.
Thank you.
Ah, amazing. My mouth was like,
I know.
what? And then what? And then I went to lunch and what?
I know, Russian tea room.
What?
And he was nice. I like it when celebrities are as nice as they seem.
Absolutely. Lives up to it.
Thank you, Shay, for your
Thank you,
amazing
Shay.
story.
That was great.
What are you working on now, Shay?
2 children's books are going to be coming out from Random House in the next year.
Yeah.
2 children's books, and I'm working on a novel, another play. I got a lot of projects, but I'm also in Atlanta where I'm living in my studio, my creative lab. I'm cooking like crazy. Might be a cookbook to come out of this. I'm having a rebirth, but I am working steadily on many projects and excited to be working on some soon to be announced playwriting projects. So.
Well, we
Yeah.
can't
That is
wait.
amazing.
We can't wait. Can you come back to Southbound to announce, like, so remember when I told that great story? So now the next play
Yes,
is
please.
Big Mom, you know.
Oh, there's so many. I could write a whole book about Shaken, and all the offshoot stories. But thank
Yeah.
you all very much.
Thank you, Shay.
Thank you, Shay. That was so great. I love it when
Yes.
celebrities are nice.
I know.
Brittany, have you had any like celebrity encounters, sightings, anything?
Okay, it's not Sidney Poitier taking me to lunch.
Okay.
But I was, when Shay was talking about being background, I was background on a movie called Almost Christmas, and Danny Glover was the father of the family.
What?
And I'm just saying, we may have been in Crafty hanging out, and he took a picture with his arm around my shoulder, sent it to my husband, and my husband says, "Tell Danny Glover, watch out."
Oh, I love this. Was he so nice? He seems like he's so nice.
So nice. And his
I
wife
love
was
it.
there, and she was nice, and his son was there, and they were nice. And he was just like, "How you doing? Good to see you. You're having fun on the movie?" Because I had spent a couple of days, just on the set. Man, on me, so that was great. That's my celebrity story.
That's so good.
What about you, Megan? You were in LA.
Well, I may have been in a hot tub with Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh no.
I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna get off of what? Wait.
I know that sounds like way more dramatic than it is.
Oh,
but
that's very exciting.
yes, but why don't we put this question out to the audience and put it in the chat, guys? If you have had any kind of
Yes.
celebrity sighting, celebrity encounter, please, and we'll read some of them after the next story or two.
Yeah.
Speaking of, why don't we introduce our next? Should I introduce our next storyteller, Brittany?
Perfect timing. Perfect.
Yes, excellent. So our next storyteller, she is one of my favorite people on the planet, and she's writing several TV projects with her writing partners Brian McElhaney and actually Megan Hayes. That's me. And she is currently writing a one-woman show, Little White Lies. So can we please welcome to the virtual stage Sherry D. Sutton? Woo!
Oh. All right. Picture this, a birthday party. I have a superheroes cake. Everyone starts to sing as my mom is lighting all 8 candles. This is it. It's time to make my wish. I blow out those 8 candles with one breath, which automatically means my wish has to come true because that's the rules, right? I wished harder than I had ever wished for anything in my life. A penis. Please let me wake up a boy tomorrow so that I can kiss Michelle and nobody would care except maybe Michelle. I was like the female Pinocchio. Make me a real boy. Make me a real boy. And with a voice like that, I probably stood a pretty good chance. I mean, I didn't understand the incredible opportunity that came if you had one of those things. I wasn't political. I didn't know what a glass ceiling was. I was 8. But even then, I knew that my feelings towards girls were not seen as normal. But if I was a boy and I loved girls, I would be accepted. And I would also get to join the most exclusive club in the Deep South, the church. See, when I grew up, everything was heaven or hell. I was Southern Baptist, so my mama beat me with the Bible Belt. I mean, I rededicated my life every summer at Jesus Church Camp. Me and 15 other losers for Jesus standing around a bonfire in the middle of July in 105-degree South Georgia temperature, all making confessions that we cannot keep, promises like, this year, I'm going to reclaim my virginity again, and I will only give a hand job with Jesus's help. But not me. I mean, I was the worst of all. I knew I had to keep my secret because, see, I had heard just too many sermons that all made sure I knew that my eternal destiny was hell. I was gay. So whenever I would accidentally burn myself, my mom would scream out, "Well, I hope you know that's what hell's gonna feel like, and there won't be an aloe vera plant." Everything was heaven or hell. My mom gave me some advice growing up. She said, "Sherry D. Sutton, no matter what you do in your life, don't make fun of Jesus. So I joined a cult. That never just rolls off your tongue, and you can't really skip to another subject because people have questions like, how did you end up in a cult? Well, apparently some people like extreme sports and I like extreme religion. I like my Jesus dangerous. Here's the answer. All my life, all I had ever wanted was to be loved and accepted and to feel normal, which is why I joined a cult. And at first, we were love bombed out there. I mean, the pastor and his wife, they made me feel like I belonged. And after a few months, I was used to listening to these 2-hour-long pointless sermons that always reinforced the same message, that the pastor was the authority in my life. I'm your spiritual daddy. I mean, I even ended up calling them Mama and Papa. Everybody did. And the cult, it was in Rome, Georgia. It was on a 400-acre farm. It was nestled in this mountainous valley. It had Clydesdale horses. We called it the farm. You know, we didn't call it the cult because we didn't know we were in a cult. That's the thing about a cult. They don't advertise. We had to be at prayer every morning at 5 a.m. We were in our early 20s. We were hot, hip, and horny, and nobody was allowed to have sex. And I was the only one to follow that rule. And it didn't help that everybody out there looked like J. Crew models. It was like 90210 for Christians. It was a country club for prayer, and my mama was thrilled. Now, not only was it the most beautiful place I'd ever seen, with the most beautiful people, but they were the most screwed up people I have ever known. And insecure, afraid, needy. I was home. And after this 6-month love fest, Mama and Papa pulled me aside to have the talk. And it took me over 6 hours, and my head hung low, and I uttered these words for the first time in my life. I'm gay. Technically, I was so homophobic, I couldn't even attach myself to that sentence. So I just blurted out, gay. I understand homophobia. You see, nobody hated me being gay more than me. And once that pastor knew that my deepest, darkest fear was being gay, that's it. He had me. So one Sunday, he decides he's going to pray for the demon of homosexuality to be cast off of me forever and ever. Amen. Because you see, in the South, you can love the sinner, but you hate the sin. And so he asked all these ladies to gather around and pray for me. And they do this thing called the laying on of hands. So as the ladies began to pray for me, I began to think that this is not helping matters, but I was delivered. Well, I mean, not even Papa was convinced. I mean, he pulled me aside and said, if you want to keep that demon of dyke from hopping back up on you, you need to start wearing dresses and makeup and some pretty pink frilly panties. Oh. See, the thing about the farm was everything was sex and sexuality. They were all demons, and demons were everywhere. There was the demon of nice, religious demons, demon of lust, demon of rejection. It was like Baskin Robbins' 31 Demons of the Month Club out there. There was always a sexual demon lurking around the farm, and Papa would blame all the girls for their demon of lust. The girls are putting out their scent, causing all the godly men to fall away from the Lord. Amen. Now, the day after this laying on of hands deliverance, I felt a sense of peace. Not because the demon of homosexuality was gone, but because the demon of secrecy had been lifted. You see, I had told my big dark secret and nobody hated me. And Papa, he mistook the smile on my face as having a demon of pride. You're in pride because God delivered you last night, and now you feel special. And you're trying to steal the victory unto yourself because you're selfish and you don't love God. And now you're trying to seduce me. Whoa. Now, in the 6 years that I was out there, nobody ever argued or denied, because he would say these 5 magic words. You can't even see it. I mean, think about that. I mean, how can you argue with that? But I did. Look, I can't see it, Papa, because I don't think it's there. I mean, I've never tried to seduce a man in my life. But Papa, he needed me to prove that I had been delivered, or maybe I needed to prove I had been delivered. I got married to a man, Paul. See, I actually believed that if I got married, then God, he was certainly going to work out that gay thing. Here's the thing about a marriage. It is a powerful union. Dare I say holy. Despite the fact of how many dresses and makeup and pretty pink frilly panties I wore, I was gay. But that marriage, it saved me. You see, the whole tactic of a cult is to divide and conquer relationships. So no one ever got really close for that long. But in a marriage, we could talk and compare notes. And I shared my fear of Papa and that farm. And Paul had those same fears. And on September 21st, 1992, we left. And I left the cult and I left my marriage. And some people say to begin again. And I say no, to authentically begin my life for the very first time. So now when I blow out my birthday candles, I still wish for a penis. Thank you.
Yes, Sherry, that was fantastic.
Wow. Oh,
Really great story.
Oh my God.
Gosh,
What
that's
is-
such a good-
That was so great. Yay.
Wow. I can't believe you were there for 6 years. You must have a million stories. Oh, my God.
Oh, you
She does.
we should just have drinks, really. I think
Yeah, I guess
this
so.
is like when it was the 10-minute version of the cult was like, how do I even approach that? There's so many crazy stories.
Again, part 2, Southbound, June.
Part
Yeah.
two.
You got it. We got you. You got to come back. Give us some more.
Thank
Sherry.
you all so much. Thank you so much, everybody. That was it was nice to be back. I haven't told that story in so long and I've been rusty. And so Lisa, thank you so much for this format right now.
It's
And
very intimate and I love it.
brilliant. Amy, thank you. And Megan and Brittany, thank you so much. And to this great audience, what a pleasure.
Now you're in Atlanta, but you told us you just came from Switzerland. Is that what you said?
I did. I was living over there for about 6 years. So
Yes.
yeah. They don't quite understand cults, but then again, they don't understand Americans at all. They're like, what's wrong with you people?
Fair.
Oh,
Oh, Sherry, that was so powerful and moving and amazing. You're just an amazing, amazing person.
yeah.
Audience loved it. They are still,
Yes.
yes. So thank you. for
Someone just
blown
said they
away.
hope you get your penis one day. So there you go. There you go. Audience approves.
Snap. I concur.
They opened some doors, I'll tell you that.
It does. We all.
But then not that they have little tiny hands. Anyway, that's weird. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna quit talking. But
All right, we're
go
done.
ahead.
We love you, Sherry.
Yes, I'm gonna turn my mic off.
So much.
Thank you for that. It was a very, very wonderful, powerful story.
That's so great. Oh, oof, I got the chills.
I think it might. Do you think it's time for some music, Brittany?
Absolutely. You got to follow up a cult with some music. Like
I would think that's like what you always do after the cult music.
absolutely. Absolutely. Every time.
Every time. So our next performers are Chase Peacock and Maggie Sally. For those of you who saw Once at the Horizon, they were in that. That show was amazing, Lisa. That was my last pre-pandemic show. And the people that I saw the show with are watching the show right now, Susan and Janice. So it's just an amazing, amazing, amazing show. So
we were so lucky to finish that run. That was our we finished March 8th and we shut down on March 16th, man. So we got it all in, but we're glad to have them here again tonight.
Yes. And Chase and Maggie's performance is pre-recorded. Just going to take Amy, our Zoom guru, a quick second to upload it. So we just wanted everybody to know that in advance. But they're also going to be coming to your phone streaming really soon. I just made it up. They didn't tell me that. I don't know that for certain. Don't quote me. And
this song they wrote just for this show. So it is world premiering right now.
What? For real?
Yep.
We about to be famous. Come on up here, y'all.
Hey everybody, I'm Maggie Sally.
And I am Chase Peacock. And we are so happy to be back sort of at the Horizon with you again, where we performed our last show before the pandemic, Once, the musical. We got to finish off the whole run before everything got shut down. So we are so thankful for that because that show was such a gift. And here we are.
So the song we wrote and are about to perform for you guys sort of started with the prompt of beginnings, and a beginning that's fresh on our minds and hearts is our new relationship and this big love we found. And so yeah, that's kind of what the song is about, but also with the layer of falling in love and having all this joy when everything outside in the world is so dark and so heavy, and there's a pandemic and there's chaos and horror and injustice, but here we are, and we're actually
it's like I want to feel bad, but
when we do,
really
yeah. So it's kind of like that push and pull in the song of I fell for you and the world fell apart. So that's that.
Yeah, and we are, essentially still quarantining, trying to create wherever we can. I actually, some of you may know, I write musicals with Jessica De Maria.
Who was also in Once.
Another actress in town. And a podcast company, I guess we could call it, reached out to us to do one of our musicals, Vivian, as a spooky podcast musical. So that's what I'm working on, and watch out for it because it's seeming like it's going to be pretty cool. And other than that, yeah, we're thrilled to be here performing sort of at the Horizon, and we have a song for you, and this is it.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4. love is peace. I think I get it now. These days could feel wasted or too long. These days can be what we make of them. Look out of your window and see the sun. Look out at the brand new morning. I fell for you when the world fell apart, and I will not apologize for that. I thought that I knew, but I was in the dark, and you have made me see again. The world outside is chaos, and my heart breaks for that, but burns for you. I know I shouldn't say this, but I've never found more alive than being stuck inside with you. I fell for you when the world fell apart, and I will not apologize for that. I thought I knew, but I was in the dark, and you have made me see again. The world outside is chaos, and my heart breaks for that, but burns for you. I know I shouldn't say this, but I've never felt more alive than being stuck inside with you. Stuck inside with you.
That was fantastic.
So good. So good. I wish I
That's
felt like that about my husband after the quarantine. Oh,
No, that song gives me like all the feels on all the levels.
right.
Yeah, it's so sweet. They kept it so hidden from all of us during once. Nobody knew. Nobody knew. So
Oh, showmances.
Gosh, nomances.
That's a whole nother storytelling topic.
That will be our show in August.
That's
Tell us about your showman.
Showmans. I want to talk about some of these celebrity encounters, Megan.
Yes. Did you do you want to read a couple of that we've had come in, Britt?
Yeah, I just feel like this one is really timely. From Joanne Reagan. She had dinner with Prince Philip.
what?
What?
Third cake for her husband's birthday.
What?
That's crazy. Oh my
I just
gosh.
feel like that's really up there in celebrity encounters, right?
That's amazing. That's pretty celebrity, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, I got one more.
Okay.
Betty McIntosh. Did I say that right? I don't know if I said it right.
Sounds right. Sorry if it's not right.
Sorry if it's not right. My last name's Manyweather. Apologies. Okay. Said that Al Pacino was filming Hangman at her neighbor's house, and he came up to her porch and sat on her wicker chair.
What? Al Pacino on her wicker?
That's what it said.
That's amazing.
I know. I feel like I need to get wicker chairs now.
I need like all the wicker furniture in my entire house now. Oh, here's one. Tony Kaiser met Renee Elise Goldsberry, who I am obsessed with from the original Hamilton cast before Hamilton, and spent some time speaking with her mom and husband. Yes, this is amazing.
Wow.
I love that you met Angelica.
I know. Oh,
now you just got to meet Eliza and Peggy, and then we'll meet all the sisters. And then, Susan was a waitress in New York City. Part owner of the club was Baryshnikov. Okay, hello. And she saw Madonna, Sean, I'm assuming Sean Penn. I don't know, might be Sean Connery. Who knows? There's so many Seans. Cher, Eric Roberts, Robin Williams. Susan has seen everybody. Everyone. So that is amazing.
Her 6 degrees of separation is nothing.
It's nothing, exactly. She probably met Kevin Bacon, actually. Yeah. Probably. Oh, that's great.
I think we can get ready for our next storyteller. What do you think, Megan?
I 100% agree. Yes.
Awesome. Well, I am going to introduce Mr. O'Neil de la Penna. And just this past February, O'Neil directed the virtual production of Othello at the Shakespeare Tavern. This made him the first Black director of a main stage production in the Tavern ever. He also has a one-person show, A Day in the Life of a Kidney Man, which Megan saw this past weekend. And we will add a link to that in the chat later on. Without further ado, Mr. O'Neil de la Penna. Take it away, sir.
Thank you. This piece is entitled Mama's Little King. June, late 1900s. An anomaly occurs, spurred on by a dream and, it seems, the culmination of 2 immigrant parents attempting to reach a better destination. Mama knew a star was born. Lady going gaga, always laughing like hee 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 ha ha at the outlandish and smart-ass antics of her little king. Man, kids really do say the darndest things. Dad was no less supportive, but a lot more practical. Saw my intellect better suited to something more applicable. You know, doctor, lawyer, those sort of professions. For the longest time, I wanted the same, to make my parents the proudest of Jamaicans. But there's a twist to the standard Black immigrant family story. I guess it's for the best. Every hero's journey is made better with an adversary. My body decided to say, you know what? Dookie to you, fool, and your life. We on strike. Your kidneys quit, sucker, starting tonight. Kidney transplants, needles, dialysis, been through all the bull. So forgive me if I don't pity people that rage about when they don't get cast to cry out, I am the seagull. A millennial with the medical afflictions of an octogenarian. Doctor told my mama I wouldn't live past 5, yet I'm top 5, dead or alive. You could say I had to contrary him. Having to bounce in and out of operating rooms. Lab tests spelling out my impending doom. Damn it, man, I just want to listen to gangster rap and show tunes. Do grown man shit with my grown ass friends. Instead, I'm worrying about how soon my life will end. So, what do I do, huh? How does Mama's Little King survive long enough to ignite stage and screen? I escaped, or rather dove into my art, and in doing so discovered a metaphysic way of examining my own heart. Although the path to artistry ain't very solid, I decided to go to college and gain that knowledge, to take that lump of coal dubbed raw talent and give it a little polish. Any sane person will tell you I'm chasing a pipe dream. The older I get, the further away the finish line seems. Outpaced by kids with TikToks, making guap because people follow them like a flock. I'm in shock. Man, some of these little bastards can't even read a clock. Starving like Marvin, haven't been fed the lies I was taught, that money comes to those who pound the pavement, waiting lines around the block. Turns out I've been rickrolled, status quo's been chopped. I should have been more T-Swift and K-pop instead of all this Eminem and Tupac. Many careers hit bottom, rock, and a hard place locked. The only key to succeed is realizing life and opportunities both come with hard knocks. So, skipping a lot of the exposition, let's fast forward in our story to my current mission. Step 1, graduate with my BFA. I even spiced it up by doing it cum laude. Step 2, get to booking right after my studies are up. Man, this was South Florida at the time. These labor exploitations, AKA apprenticeships, are unheard of. Step 3, witness the growth of the film industry combined with my ex's desire for a change of scenery. And next thing you know, the ATL was blessed with the glory commonly known as me. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Man, I said the grass ain't always greener on the other side. The market I expected to make a killing in is more clicked up than a high school student population. These apprenticeships are like fraternities, establishing these biased sense of loyalties. Theaters pledging allegiance to the actors that pledge them. Alpha Sigma Tavern, Kappa Kappa Aurora, Omega Beta Horizon. In order to break in, you gotta constantly visit the doors with that heavy knock-in. You gotta know somebody that knows somebody to tell somebody to start noticing the work that you're doing, if you can even find it. 5 years in this city spent just grinding and grinding. Why is it that my breakout year only comes with George and Brianna dying? People never checking for me before, suddenly in my inbox trying to settle the score. I didn't want or need a negligent need to end a life needlessly, to fortuitously make it hot for me to be the face to grace the post on your IGs. My shit's been popping. My melanin over here straight Orville Redenbachen. I didn't even know my artistry would lead me to this. I'm thinking, damn, did M. Night Shyamalan write this script? The docile Florida boy moved here and became a politically activated political activist. What a twist. But I won't let the suffering of my people go in vain. That would be insane. Instead, I choose to take hold of the picture and reframe. Being BIPOC is trendy right now, like a new pair of Yeezys. Everyone trying to be woke with the solidarity post. To think otherwise is considered sleazy. But you know what? I'ma ride the wave, book all the things I can and get paid. Why should I feel guilty for basking in my self-worth? Getting opportunities now that aren't meant for my white friends anymore. Ooh, you know they feel that hurt. As you adjust to the new normal and we once again become stable, just understand we're all just vying for a seat at the same table. We're all still kings and queens and everything in between in our mother's eyes. It's just now you have to acknowledge that my kinfolk had to die for my kingdom to be able to fly. And fly, I'm gonna. Nah, F that. I'm gonna soar like a second dose of the COVID shot after hour 34. You can either get with it or get behind, Miss Satan. Shifting from bird mode to straight up ham. No more waiting, just straight taking. I'm done hesitating. My shot is now. Get used to congratulating. Got no more room for basic busted bum bitches busy, bitter, hating, and deliberating how they can make sweat off my back like a greedy ass corporation. I'm stepping to each challenge with a greeting and salutation. I'm an amalgamation of everything it is to be a proud black man, devoid of trepidation. Step right up, catch the demonstration like a bloodhound, searching for any occasion to fire your blood up. Call it a flaming stimulation. Ooh, I'm too damn brazen. Me plus ATL theater, that's a winning combination. Solved for X. Now I'm the X factor in this unbalanced equation. Fully vaccinated, emerging from my isolation, switching prison bars for lyrical bars to leave my impact on this colorful nation. I aspire to create art that inspires. Period. Full stop. To tickle your funny bone, pique your desires, make your heart rise and drop. Casting me means you're casting me. Yes, of course, I'll be the character, do whatever is necessary, but within that scope, you're also getting everything about me that's dope. You won't erase my comedic sense of timing or have me clapping on the ones and threes like my rhythm ain't already shining. Ask me to tone down my blackness to fit into your narrow convention. Ooh, I gotta let you know, there ain't no knobs or dials on my black ass, in case I forgot to mention. If you accept me, I accept you. So let's let the magic start. In this past year, we've all been taught. If we work together hand in hand, side by side, we'll remain heart to heart. If this last year has taught us absolutely nothing else, Remember that our sense of humanity and love is our greatest wealth. So, until we can all once again gather, rejoice, and sing, see yourself through your mama's eyes, my beautiful queens and kings. Thank you.
Holy.
Oh, man.
That was amazing.
You better get on this Zoom and preach.
Mm,
That
You
was,
better, sir. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
mm.
boy, O'Neill, you went for it, man. Go.
That was amazing.
Amazing.
Thank you
Brilliant.
for the opportunity.
That's really great. Is that from your one person show? Is that part of it? Or is this something you wrote for this? Because I know
This
you were
is,
talking
this is,
to
this is an
Wow.
original world premiere piece.
All
that
right. That's so great.
Yes,
we
come
decided
on,
to write.
Southbound. We are premiering things.
Amazing.
But
And
but you've got a show to
crossover.
promote too, right? You got
Oh, yes. Yes, I have a one-person show that Brittany mentioned before that recently had its premiere on Saturday night. I'll drop the link in the chat right now. If anybody wants to be interested in checking it out, you can find it on YouTube. It's called A Day in the Life of Kidney Man.
I watched it on Saturday, and O'Neill, it was just amazing. It was just fantastic. You are just a powerhouse of a performer, and your authenticity on stage just is unbelievable.
If your mama and daddy aren't proud now, I don't know what to say. So.
Yeah, the one-person show deals with some of my medical issues that I touched on in this piece. So if you'd like to know more about that, you can go ahead and visit the link. I'm posting it again so people can go ahead and check it with the title. If you enjoy my work, please check it out.
Yes.
Follow me on Instagram at O'NeillD14. Thank you all so much. And thank you, Lisa, for this opportunity.
Yeah, that was really fantastic.
Amazing.
Forward to more.
Thank you. Until next time.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you, O'Neill. Kidding?
You're
Please.
welcome. Wow, that was good.
That was amazing.
Come on, y'all better be writing. Woo. All right, we have one last storyteller for this evening. Miss Mary Lynn Owen is currently teaching in English and Spanish at Emory University and recently received a commission with 2 other playwrights from Synchronicity Theater to write a play about women and work. Our last beautiful storyteller for the evening, Miss Mary Lynn Owen.
Woo, Mary Lynn.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a story about my history with family vacations. Growing up, we didn't take a lot of vacations. We didn't have a lot of money, for one, and the few vacations we did take were just disasters. Somebody would break something, a bone or the furniture wherever we were staying, and my brothers would set something on fire. And one time we didn't even make it out of town. We had loaded up the car, we were all in the car. My father drove to the gas station. There we were at the gas station. My father got out of the car and he hollered out to my mother to back the up and put it a little closer to the pump. And she did. She moved over to the driver's side, but important to note, my father had left the driver's side door open and my mother closed it. So she put the car in reverse. The car door hit the pump and came off the car. So now we're on vacation in a car with no door. I remember lots of screaming and crying. I remember my father running out of the gas station office and then the gas station man running out of the office with a rope. And then my father and the gas station man tying the car door onto our car with a rope. We looked like the Jones. And that's all I remember of that vacation. I think that's all we did. I think we just went to the gas station and came home. So when my husband and I got married and we had our own children, I was determined I wanted to take wonderful vacations, lovely vacations, peaceful vacations. And we did for a while. We had lovely time. Sometimes the car would break down, or one time my son did break a collarbone, but for the most part, we had wonderful vacations until it was the early 2000s, and we went to a place in the Gulf of Mexico, very simple, a little place called Ye Old, with an E, Salt Works Cabins, very rustic fishing cabins. We were right on the water there. And we took along our dying dog. He was about 16 at the time. He just had a few months left to live, and he had never been on a vacation. So we loaded him up in the station wagon, and the station wagon was covered with plastic fruit. This was after a period when I reasoned that it made much more sense to cover the dents in the bumper with plastic fruit rather than fix the bumper, because it was just much more cost effective. So the back bumper of the car was covered with grapes and, you know, everything plastic, apples, pears, bananas. There were some heads of lettuce. I had vegetables, cabbages. It looked like a salad bar. So we went to Ye Old, with an E, Salt Works Cabins, in the fruit car with our dying dog. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't we just go right to the gas station and knock the door off the car and get it over with? Well, we ended up having a wonderful time. We loved it. The dog loved it. We had a wonderful, wonderful time until sort of towards the end of our stay. We look on a map and we notice that there is this island across the bay from where we're staying, and it's called the Feral Goat Island. And we think, oh, that sounds like a great trip. Why don't we all get in the canoe here at the cabin and just paddle on over to the Feral Goat Island and see the feral goats? And so we do. We get in the boat. We all put on our life jacket. We get in the boat. Rob, my husband, is on one end. I'm on the other. The kids are in the middle. The kids are about 7 or 8 years old. And we get in the water and we start paddling to the Feral Goat Island. The current did seem a little swift, but Rob and I had an oar. We each had an oar, a very big oar. So we've been in the water for, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes, and we notice that the boat won't face in the right direction. It just won't point towards the Feral Goat Island. No matter how hard we steer or paddle, it won't go the right way. So I say, I know, I'll just get out of the boat and I'll go to the back of it and maneuver it so that it points towards the Feral Goat Island, and then I'll just get back in the boat. And Rob says, okay, and I do. And immediately, my family is 100 yards away. And I say, Rob, what are you doing? Because I think he's just not trying hard enough. And he says, Mary Lynn, what are you doing? Because he thinks I'm not trying hard enough. And then that's when it hits me. I can't swim hard enough to get to him, and he can't paddle hard enough to get to me, and I can't touch bottom anymore. And my family is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller until they disappear. They're gone, they're vanished. And this is before the age of cell phones. We don't have one. So when my husband Rob tells this story, he says that he thinks immediately, I'm a single father. What will I tell Mary Lynn's family? What will I tell the kids? The kids, what will I tell the kids? Will they get married again? Should we sell the house? And I am doing just the opposite. I'm in such denial that my entire life has just disappeared that I think, oh, well, this is nice. It's quiet. No one's yelling at me. I needed a little me time. And I continue to think this, even though there are tortoises, huge tortoises all around my feet, and fish, big fish, all around, swimming around my body, even though I can't see ye old saltworks cabins anymore. And even though, just like my family, apparently, I am headed out to sea. And it's getting darker. It's late afternoon by this point, and so I tread water. I tread water. I tread water. And it gets darker, and it gets darker, and it gets to be about almost sundown. And finally, I think, you know, I wonder how all this is going to turn out. There's no one around. There's no one in a plane overhead. No one's in the water. And maybe Rob is on his way to Mexico. And maybe some nice Mexican family will take him in. And maybe he'll marry some nice Mexican woman and she'll raise my children, and maybe they'll remember me. They'll come back to look for me, and they'll find me, hopefully, on the feral goat island talking to a goat or a basketball. I don't know. I'm worried. I am finally allowing myself to be worried. When it's almost sundown now, and I think I see a speck on the horizon, just a speck, like a fleck of pepper. And I start screaming at it. I think I'm hallucinating. Part of me really does think I'm hallucinating, but I start screaming and waving and screaming and waving at this speck. And then it gets bigger. It's not a speck of pepper, it's like a peppercorn. It gets bigger and bigger, and I scream and wave and scream and wave, and then it gets just a little bit bigger. It's like something like a barge. And it's moving very, very slowly. And I scream and wave and scream and wave. And then I see it's a boat. It's a pontoon boat moving very, very, very slowly. It's like the tricycle of boats. And I scream and wave and scream and wave. And then I hear the most glorious sound. My kids screaming. My husband screaming. Mom, Mom, Mary Lynn, Mary Lynn. Rob and the kids have been rescued by some other family on their vacation. And they have pulled them into the boat, and now they're on the way to rescue me, and they do. Pull me into the boat, and there's lots of crying, and Rob and the kids are just shaken, you can tell. And this family, whoever they are, this family is just having the greatest day. They have saved lives on their vacation. And they take us back to ye old saltworks cabins, and they help us tie up the boat. We run inside, and we see the dying dog. And I don't think we left the cabin for the rest of the time. We certainly didn't go to the feral goat island. I think we stayed inside the cabin and we played a lot of Monopoly. And when I think of that story now, and I think of all the disastrous vacations I had as a child, I think that vacations shouldn't really be called vacations, because you're not really vacating your life. When you go on vacation, you're seeing something about your life magnified. I think vacations ought to be called magnifications. Especially if when you go on your magnification, you lose the people you love, and then they return to you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, Mary Lynn.
That's
Incredibly funny.
That was a big magnification. Yes.
Magnificent.
Oh, that was fabulous.
How long were you out there? How
It was
long?
all afternoon. It was hours.
I love that you wanted me time at first.
At first, it was lovely.
Oh my gosh.
God.
What a vacation story. Oh, well told. Well
Oh,
told.
Mary Lynn, that was fabulous.
Thank you.
Somebody asked, are you a trained swimmer?
Oh, hell no.
Did you get sunburned?
Yes, sunburned, waterlogged. I did have on a life jacket.
Oh, good. Oh, that made it better.
Yeah, yeah.
You didn't have to tread for 10 hours or whatever. it was.
No, I had, a little bit of help. But
But still.
Oh my gosh,
me,
Mary
it was
Lynn, that was a
everybody's
great
different
story. I mean, I still am kind of lost on why you wanted to go to an island inhabited by feral goats in the
What
first
were we
place.
You do you. You do you, Mary Lynn.
But what I really appreciated is you knew as a comic, the more you said feral goats, the better it was for your story.
That was great. I can love that.
Somebody asked, are you phobic of turtles now?
oh God, the big ones, yes. Yes. I like little ones, little ones.
You'll have to bring, somebody wants to see your Tutti Frutti car. Our Tutti Frutti car was classic. You saw it all over Virginia Highlands. You always knew where Mary Lynn was because she was parked outside.
You remember that car?
Oh my God, are you kidding? I'd see you in the parking lot.
I couldn't do anything. I couldn't have an affair. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't.
Everybody knew where you were.
Everybody knew where I was all the time.
Oh, that's amazing.
That was great. Thank you, Mary Lynn. Thank you so much.
So welcome. Thank you for having me. This was great.
Thank you, all of our storytellers.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. This was a great start to Southbound, which will be happening every month. I'm gonna claim it. We already have a show.
We got a new today. You gonna tell them what about our new next two are gonna be?
Yes, our next show, May 10th, is our Mother's Day theme show. And we want you guys back here ready. And then there's a show on June 13th.
It is. Brittany, you're going to tell a story for Mother's Day since you're recently a mom, yes?
I am. I'm going to talk about this person that I gave birth to.
And June 14th is our June show.
June 14th. Thank you, Amy. Thank you.
Yes, everybody. And if you, audience, thank you for coming out. And if you have a story that you want to tell, please, Amy's going to drop the email into the chat. Email us and let us know.
Absolutely.
Southbound@horizontheater.com. Everyone has a story. Thank you, all our storytellers. You guys are so amazing. And thank you, Lisa, for starting this show. It's such a blast. Hey.
There they are.
Gems on.
Great.
So much.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was everybody. So come check us out. Please tell people to watch the videos when we put them up and come back to the next time. And really, we are going to be using, we're having our theater professionals and others do this work, but we are also looking for real life people stories. So if you know somebody who's got amazing stories to tell, even if they're not polished at telling them, Megan's going to help them out. Or if you have an amazing story, I want to, who wrote in there that they had a private tea with Katharine Hepburn in her Fifth Avenue apartment. That's
Alan. It was
Alan.
Alan.
Oh my God, I need to hear that story, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, so please tell us the stories you want to tell, and we will get them out there. So Megan and our host Brittany, please thank you all. And
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa.
guys,
Thank you.
sign us off. Megan, Brittany, sign us off.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you
Bye,
on
y'all.
weekend, everybody.
Great.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.